Hey, it's Jeff Shore. Do you want to learn how to execute right? Here's an idea. Stop focusing on the results. Yeah, that's what I said. Stop focusing on the results. I know it sounds counterintuitive, but stay with me on this. Too often we get so hung up on the results that we sometimes forget to pay attention to the behaviors that get us to the results. And we judge our behaviors according to those final results. When you're thinking about execution, in many ways, this does not make sense. So let's just think about the execution in a sales process. Every now and then, I will see a salesperson who has some really wrong behaviors, but they get the right results. And it's possible that they've got the right product, the right time, the right market conditions, and the right buyer, and that sale just kind of happens, even though the behaviors were not optimal. I've seen the converse of that also happen. Salespeople who are pushing all the right buttons, doing everything that they're supposed to do just right, but they're not getting the results. And then what happens? We only look at the results and deem that that salesperson is failing or somehow substandard. This is a big mistake. The results can be misleading. Sometimes you get the right results with the wrong behaviors, and sometimes you get the wrong results with the right behaviors. And I want to suggest if we want to look at execution and how we get execution right most dependably over and over again, pay attention to the behaviors, to look at the very specific things that we have to do. The fact of the matter is that when we think about results, we put so much emphasis on the end result that it sometimes gives us a false read. So an example is used, for example, of the stock market crash in 2008 and the failing of the banks in 2008. There are people who say that they knew that that was going to happen. Well, the fact is, and I learned this from the Nobel Prize-winning psychologist Daniel Kahneman, they didn't know what was going to happen. They thought they knew what was going to happen. At the same time, there were people who had access to the exact same information who did not believe that it was going to happen. But because of the end result, we look at it and we say, well, those people had the right behaviors. This is not the way that works. The world is simply not that simple. We have to be able to look at it and ask ourselves the question, what can we control? The fact of the matter is we cannot always control the results, but we can always control the behavior. So when we're thinking about execution, oftentimes we will set up our measurements of effective execution only based on the results. That's a big mistake. We want to set up our measurements of execution based on the behaviors. So if you're trying to manage your own performance or you're trying to manage the performance of the people around you, start looking at the metrics that are based on the behaviors, on those steps that you are taking, rather than just the end results. Look, if the behaviors are right, then more often than not, the results are always going to be right. But you don't want to end up with a false read on this. Manage to the behaviors and let the results follow.